Welcome both Elana and Billy Hayes to the show this evening. Hello there.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. It's an honor to have you, both of you. Hi, Billy.
Howdy.
Great to have you on, and thank you for joining us this evening. This is such important information to share. So let's get started here, and let's talk about what you've been up to. Also discussing your book. I know you have the first book, and let's talk a little about the new book you have coming out as well.
Okay, the Chemtrails HARP and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth, put out by Feral House, was really a consolidation of everything we know up to now about these covert programs that the news keeps telling us are about geoengineering that may be instituted, when the truth is we've been undergoing a geoengineering, one program after another, really since the Cold War. But this program, this particular one that was born out of Operation Cloverleaf, Project Cloverleaf, is about 15 years old, a little more, 17 now. And so I wanted to just bring together everything that we knew. And my destiny, I like to call it, had it. I actually was friends with Clifford Carnicom, the independent scientist who's done so much work on identifying the Morgellons creature. He and I were close friends. He, his wife, I, and a couple other people, we would meet for breakfast every other week in Santa Fe, New Mexico, up until a few years ago when both I and Clifford and Carol, we all moved to the Pacific Northwest. So I had already been finding out about the relationship between chemtrails and Morgellons, but what I didn't know until I was asked by Adam Parfrey, the publisher at Feral House, if he asked me if I thought I could write a book on chemtrails, and I actually didn't know until I began doing all the research and really reading over some notes I had made about 5 years earlier that they are very, very connected. In fact, I would say that you cannot have one without the other. And that was the thrilling part for me when I realized that not only were both programs, the chemtrails program and HARP, which people probably know, but it's the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project up in Gakona, Alaska, is how we've been thinking of it, how the two were interlocked. And that really was the exciting thing for me in the beginning. And then as the book went on, I began to realize that it seemed that they were just putting together an ionized atmosphere. And I remember thinking, I wonder what that ionized atmosphere is going to be used for. And so gradually I discovered 7 agendas, which are all military in nature. And that was with Clifford Carnicom. And I realized that the ionized atmosphere that we're all breathing now is actually it's like a battery. It's constantly charged to some degree for a variety of agendas. And then after I was on Coast to Coast in May, Billy contacted me, and we were able to become friends. I was really grateful for Billy because whereas I'm basically a researcher and a writer, he actually had the hands-on experience of working on many, many towers like the one in Gakona, Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Is there anything you want to add to that, Billy?
No, she's doing fine.
well,
Billy, tell them when you did work on the HARP up in Gakona. What year was that, and what was it like?
We started our first efforts in setting up first HARP was with Gerald Bull, and that was in the late 50s into the 60s. And then after the incident of the earthquake in 1963, the next plausible time was with Mr. Easton. He met up with us at Anchorage, and that was in 1986. and we began the project in 1989.
And how long did it take to finish it, Billy?
Oh, it was endless. Every time we get to do one thing, we'd be back in 6 months to do another. It's just been an endless project all the way through. Even today, there are things with HARP's system going on.
Okay. Now, I was under the impression they actually switched off the array system in Alaska with HARP. Was that correct or no? Did somebody just take over a new contract?
You're correct. HARP Kokona is down.
Okay.
But the affiliated sites now have been amended and are now part of the space surveillance system, also known as Space Fence.
Okay.
Yeah, and that has to do with the next book. And that's what I realized is that as Billy began to explain various things, and the publisher had already taken out 2 chapters from the book, saying that it was already overwhelming enough. Those 2 chapters were dedicated to my going through all the cell towers, the NexRads, the Gwen towers, in order to understand how they were going to make what they call the smart grid, which is actually more accurately identified as the space fence, which is exactly the follow-through on Reagan and Cheney and Rumsfeld's the old SDI system, the Strategic Defense Initiative, otherwise known as Star Wars. So this is the culmination now. They needed that ionized atmosphere, and they needed a grid system of various instruments, including lasers and transmitters and things, in order to set up what I call a lockdown grid. And that is where the mind control will come in, will be through plugging our nervous systems into that. And that comes through the heavy metals that are very conductive on a nanoscale that we have all inhaled and which are floating in our bloodstreams and lodged in our tissues. And it is through the conductivity of these heavy metals that our nervous system is plugged in.
Mm-hmm. That makes perfect sense. Well, yeah, we're electrical, so we can be hijacked very easily. That's what it boils down to. Right
exactly.
there. Now, you were talking a little bit about the affiliated sites. I'd like a little bit of information insofar as what are the other affiliated sites for HARP, if you have them.
Yeah, Billy, let's go through some of that, and let's, not just the SBXs, but I'd like you to kind of do draw a picture for people of all the different things that are utilized in order, for example, to move weather systems.
Okay. There were multiple sites all over the world. We engaged with over 250 different sites. Some of them were control sites, some of them were transmitter sites, some of them were receiver sites, some were translator sites. Many of them were no more than relay stations required by NASA and NOAA and weather systems. They were passing all sorts of information back and forth. Mm-hmm. HARP could not work just as one individual system. It included Superdorn sites. It included all the radio telescope sites. Mm-hmm. All this information was being ganged together in order to make monitor of the results of what the HARP systems were doing.
Okay, can I ask you real quick, what exactly drives HARP as a network? What exactly is the driving force behind that? I mean, energetically speaking.
RF.
Radio frequency? Okay.
Radio frequency. Yeah.
And that's ground control? It's not from satellite?
No.
Okay.
It will be.
Okay.
As the new space fence comes into being, it will be more and more beyond the range of just RF.
Right.
It will be in the range of utilizing new laser systems, new maser systems, mm-hmm. A whole digital classification of tooling that will be part of a total communication network worldwide. It will be a control of all communications, via government, via civilian, everything that will be has a digital register
Right.
will be part of the new space program.
Okay, and would you say that could be an artificial intelligence satellite driving system?
It will be.
Okay.
It will be capable of that.
Okay, and it reminds me of a frequency fence. When you describe this, it sounds like a frequency fence.
And that's exactly what it is.
It's just like very disturbing, and yet I know that this is almost like, to me, it sounds like it's almost in motion.
But I think one of the things we need to add in, Billy, is that it's a frequency fence, but what about the pulses? I mean, the pulses to me are the most interesting.
Is that electromagnetic pulse, Elana?
Well, it's more the rate of pulse that is interesting, and they're in hertz.
Okay.
And as you know, we have the Schumann resonance, and this could feasibly change the resonance, the natural resonance of all life on Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very serious.
Well, what that corresponds to is almost everything today is a matter of a pulsing signal within your cellular systems. The identification that runs with along with the voice messaging, the data links is all in pulses. It isn't the frequency that you're looking at. It's a matter that it pulses at certain random rates that they set up. Even today, even wind farms are energetically dispensing electrical pulses of a resonant Schumann frequency as they turn. Radar, the so-called NAXRAD, they're capable of dispensing, along with their normal radar pulses, they are capable of emitting Schumann frequencies within them too. Your Gwyn towers, the old Gwyn tower systems, are on the comeback because they have gone through this new digital analyst of dispensing pulsed information.
I agree with that for sure.
And it was in actually in Bernard Eastland's patent, in the original, the 1987 patent that I go through in Chapter 2. The interesting thing to me is that cyclotron resonance is the primary way of heating through the transmitter in Gakona, for example. And so it goes up to the ionosphere, and then it kind of twirls and swirls down the magnetic lines of force. And as you know, electric and magnetic are at right angles, and it comes down, and this is the primary way of heating. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Well, Dr. Robert Becker, whose book you probably know, The Body Electric, he also wrote a book called Cross Currents, The Perils of Electropollution, The Promise of Electromedicine. And it's in there that it really strikes a nerve as to what this could mean for huge populations and the frequency, the pulses, because Becker says cyclotron resonance is a mechanism of action that enables very low-strength electromagnetic fields acting in concert with the Earth's geomagnetic field to produce major biological effects by concentrating the energy in the applied field upon specific particles, such as the biologically important ions of sodium, calcium, potassium, and lithium. And then I remembered reading at Clifford Carnicom's site, carnicominstitute.org, that he had actually targeted potassium to figure out if the chemtrail activity and the pulses that he was logging outside his Santa Fe house were connected to our endocrine system. And what he says is that the fifth harmonic of the ELF, the extra low frequency, that has been repeatedly measured over a period of several years by him, corresponds to the cyclotronic resonant frequency of potassium. The fifth harmonic, along with numerous other harmonics, is a regular component of the ELF radiation that is under measurement. And his assertion that the potassium ion is being targeted for, quote, biological interference within people over large regions of the Earth's surface is, as you can imagine, extremely serious, because we need the right balance of all of these elements for health. And later in the book, I talk about what a moneymaker this whole system is, all the way from weather derivatives to Rothschild buying up, I think it's the Weather Channel, and the control over this technology in the ionized atmosphere is very enriching for big pharma and for the medical industry. And that really, to me, is evil. Mm-hmm. That is not only a tragedy, it's an evil.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it just reeks of transhumanism.
As an objective, an objective we're moving into right now. You're absolutely right.
And can we go through a little bit insofar as what kind of effects are going to happen insofar as mass collectives? What do you see transpiring with the deployment of this grid, if they do get away with deploying this frequency type fence grid? Do you see it as a mass mind control? Do you see it as a DNA thing where it just gets switched off? Or
Billy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, the biggest thing is that it's going to be a mass communication system that monitors all communications around the world. Military, civilian, business, everything. Anything that is on the digital realm is a matter of being stored for future research. This is what Snowden was giving warning of, was that they were maintaining a library, a reference to what they already have stored.
Right.
And it's everything in this world that's digital. It could be driver's license. It can be car licenses. It can be communications on your cell phone. Everything that is digitized is going to be part of the system.
Right. So that's a data mining and a storage. And what are they going to do with that data? Are they going to deploy it through psychotronic transmission, or what do you think they're going to do with it?
It's a matter of reference.
Okay.
It's a matter of monitoring everything that's going on. Everything.
Yeah, total control. Yeah.
It's a matter of controlling things. Everything is digitally controlled nowadays.
Right.
Your oven is digitally controlled. Your refrigerator is digitally controlled. Your smart meters are digitally controlling. Your computer is a controlling item. These things are part of your life. So any part that is digitally mastered is of their control.
Right. And of course the brain, and you're going into the brain hack and the mind hack as well.
Exactly. Another thing that is pursuant that has came up above all other things is now the production of oil. The so-called fracking intimacy that everybody's worried about, it gets even worse. It works on these pulses that are being generated. These 3, 12, and 20 hertz pulses are now part of the fracking industry. The salts that they utilize now have aluminum sulfates and salts in them and acids that every time there's a pulse that is resonant to what they tune that well to, it winks, it squeezes. So it actually assists in their so-called fracking. Well, when you have fracking, you also have dislodgement of the Earth's mantle.
Right. Yeah, it's just chaos in motion.
Well, it's the latest toy, really, and I mean, this will be remembered as an electromagnetic era, and yet, as you know, ever since the 90s, when I remember Colonel John Alexander was working at Los Alamos National Labs, and he was primary in the development of non-lethals, and so for years we went through that term that the media spun of non-lethals, and slowly realized that you can die from non-lethals, so they can't be that non-lethal. So every time, because we're such a media generated era, it seems that one of the biggest things I concentrate on when I give public talks, like during my book tour during September, I really want to stress to your listeners that we need to, in order to understand such a global system, it's almost like when you hear the term we're $8 trillion in debt. What does that mean? I mean, who can imagine what $8 trillion is? I can't, unless you pare it down to how much money that is per day or per hour or per minute. The same thing with this is a huge global system that operates sort of grid-like through all of these installations that are on military bases, they're on oil rigs, they're on university campuses, they're, I mean, I think of Virginia Tech, where Super Darn is, there's one Super Darn there, and then there's 20, 50 more. To understand that, we have to face what the media has done to our minds. Talk about mind control. We've all been subjected to cognitive dissonance. And this cognitive dissonance is such that we like to think of life as pleasant, and we don't like pain, which makes us pretty normal. But because we hide from pain, or maybe we don't have self-confidence in our ability to think. Maybe school was a bad trip. Whatever it is, to me, in order to really contest this electromagnetic era and guide it in the right way that it should go, there's no way we're going to get rid of it, but there are some right ways we could go. We're going to first have to deal with our minds and how we want things in sound bites, and you cannot understand an entire global system in sound bites. You're not going to get it on the news. You're not going to get it in a comic book version of this. And I think of that because I have over 600 footnotes in the book, but I try to write it so that it's not all science, because I'm not a scientist. It's about our planet Earth. It's about the life forms on the planet Earth. It's about the trees dying in California. I mean, there's so much going on that people will be tempted to shut down to some degree and sort of let it slide away through this cognitive dissonance that we've been really trained by the media to adhere to. And I really want to appeal to your listeners that if I stand for anything, I stand for consciousness. And the more I've learned about this, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you, Solaris, because you're dedicated to knowledge, you're dedicated to your show and to helping people to develop the confidence to understand this world that we have been born into. So I just want to say that even as you're listening to facts and figures, it's that cognitive dissonance that we really need to look at in ourselves so we can dismantle it and be able to learn and then develop the ability to act. Often people will say to me, well, Elana, what should I do? What should I do? Well, yes, reading the book is doing, dismantling your cognitive dissonance is doing. There's so many doings to do to prepare to do something collectively.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Yeah. Well, there's definitely a war on consciousness. And of course, it's to me, I see it as a misuse and abuse of power. I mean, we have a weaponized world right now, and it's out of control. I don't have to tell you also how many people are suffering from electronic harassment or a form of mind control. And I've been through the ringer with synthetic telepathy and covert technology and being hacked as well. So this stuff is real. And people need to be up to speed. And I think you're right. We need to get more clarity. But once again, I think they're getting bombarded with such pollutants and such distortion coming from not only media, but the transmissions that we need to clear that field so we have more clarity. Now, my question to you all is what would you do? What do you suggest that people can do? What precautions can they take to clear that line and to remove some of these, what I call them, running interference, perhaps?
Well, I definitely can respond to that because I've gone so deeply into the Morgellons with Clifford, and I cover it in chapter 8 of the book. Morgellons itself is an interesting disease in the sense that the cross-domain bacteria, which is the actual name Clifford has given it, it has 5 parts to it, and it basically is a genetically engineered hybrid He calls it the cross-domain bacteria because it really spans all three domains of life. It has extraordinary capabilities because it has microprocessors in it. It has sensors in it, all on a nanoscale. It is able to communicate with its brethren in the body. Once it's breathed in, it enters the bloodstream. It's been programmed to eat iron, and it needs the iron for its conductivity. And the fact that it's so conductive indicates that the programmers wanted it to be available to remote programming. Mm-hmm. And it seems that in the people where it has really taken root, I mean, I have them. I have seen them I did the red wine test with Clifford. He drew my blood. I've seen them eating my iron out of my erythrocytes under Clifford's microscope. The fact that I live with these little creatures, just like I live with the flora and fauna in my intestinal tract, this is really how our condition is. And the fact that there's small creatures eating off of large creatures, and we need to really see. I mean, if you study the cross-domain bacteria, you see that it loves electricity. It loves the electromagnetic. A person with lesions will come near their toaster oven, and the little wiry heads poking out of the lesion will go crazy. So what does that say about the fact that we want to live in Wi-Fi environments for our comfort, for our convenience, so our Aunt Mary can call us when she feels like it, so we can talk to each other when I'm coming in on a flight at the airport? What does it say that we've allowed ourselves to be seduced by those who sell the cell phones, those who sell the iPhones, the iPads, on, and put up all these towers wherever they feel like putting them up? The Telecommunications Act of 1996 forbids us to forbid them to put up their towers where they feel like it. So the fact that we live in Wi-Fi environments and then wring our hands over the fact that our health is suffering, I think we need to look at our lifestyles and what we've grown accustomed to. Yes, the transmitters that live, that are 3 miles from me. Yes, those are a problem. But the first problem is what's close to home. It's like the cognitive dissonance, right? There's going to be no large thing we can do until we clean our house. Mm-hmm. And we come to some terms about how we choose to live. Then there's the GMOs. I mean, is everyone eating organic yet? Is it true that our water system is health inducing? Have we had our water tested? Have we been, there are so many small things, you see what I'm getting at, mm-hmm. that I highly, highly recommend to people. That's the beginning of taking responsibility for the era that we have allowed to go to this point. Right. I mean, we're the only ones who allowed it to go to this point. It wasn't our children. It was us.
Right. And it's going fast forward right now. And what I'm seeing is a hybridization of the regular, what we used to have as a quote unquote human, is now becoming a modified hybrid of some kind. And my question would be, what kind of hybrid are we dealing with here? Are we dealing with the transhumanism where these nanos that you're talking about are under intelligent control? So who's doing the remote programming?
Well, to me, I'm not quite clear on your question, but that would be for me, I would see it as the defense contractors, okay, like Raytheon, L3, Lockheed, mm-hmm. And AT&T. The Google. They're all in bed right. together. I'm not going to reach beyond the human at all until I've dealt with the human participants. And they are very, very active in this. I could blame my military, the military in our country. Yes, of course, they're responsible. But Eisenhower really gave us the very cool term that we're all sick of. But really, it still works, except I would add intelligence to it. So the military-industrial intelligence complex They are all working in concert because it's highly profitable, as Naomi Klein said in her book, The Shock Doctrine. Disaster capitalism is going to serve them well as they topple us from the bottom down. They're going to make a lot of profit off of this system that we call HARP chemtrails, for want of a better word, because, as you know, HARP is shut down, the original installation.
Right. Well said. And do you have anything to add over there, Billy?
Nope, she's doing fine.
Okay. Well, it does sound like they're obviously working towards eugenics of some kind. Maybe a mass kill off. What is your impression of that?
No, I wouldn't say a mass kill-off, other than perhaps on the African continent or some developing country somewhere where they're experimenting. I think now they're in an experimental stage. Certainly, I could make a case for, and I do in the book, for the weather, such as Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Sandy, the Haitian terrible hurricane. All of these, I feel, are very much were HARP generated and were experimental to just see how to use the toy. And yes, you mentioned the word genetics a few minutes ago. And yes, I think they will be down to the DNA. I think they want to alter the human. They call it enhance the human. And humanity, in a sense, I was remembering something Rudolf Steiner said, that that the future, the humanity will have to merge with the machine. But the question is, will humanity be ready to moralize the machine? In other words, humanize the machine to serve humanity. Well, in a way, isn't that what's happening now? They're bringing it faster than it should come. And their idea is that we will serve the machine. So every time they talk about a cyborg, every time they talk about special forces undergoing, quote, training, unquote, I assume that they're experimenting on all of our armed forces, particularly the teams being sent in this asymmetric warfare that we're so enamored of. And they'll use people in mental institutions, homeless people wandering the street, any population where it can be documented in a Nazi fashion. They will be using that for the sake of a transhumanist enhanced future. Yes.
I totally agree with you on that one. Yeah, it is the wave of the future and the illusion of, but I agree, it is about the machine. But what I'm seeing is people playing God with a little g, using this technology, playing God as the machine itself. But they're inducting people, pulling them into the programs, and then, of course, trying to mind control them. And if it doesn't work, of course, there's a torturous avenue. And I've been through that torturous avenue, which is why I'm referencing this right now. But it's all about the electromagnetic pulse weapons as well. And I'm asking you also about HARP insofar as deployment of electromagnetic pulse weapons. We know it can weaponize the sky and control and manipulate weather patterns, but what about, let's say, targeting a certain individual remotely? Is that a capability with the HARP when it's all interconnected across the globe?
Well, I have ideas on that. Billy, did you want to say something to that before I do?
No, go on.
The two chapters that were taken out of the book because it was still too overwhelming enough. In there, I begin to build the case for how it could be done in a neighborhood. I talk about the phased arrays. I talk about the transmitters, about the fiber optic cable underground, about the 60 hertz electric sockets in people's houses. And that now I will take those two chapters, and with Billy's help, now that I can see the bigger picture of the space fence itself, then I will look at that. I have definitely been in touch with TIs, targeted individuals. I have listened to them. I have read their reports. I have gotten a real sense of how the satellites and the phased arrays work together, and how even the NexRads could be used if they were close enough. So, yes, I see the targeting happening through a triangulating.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, of various methods, some of them briefcase size, It doesn't anymore, though, have to do with next door neighbor type thing through the wall. It appears that there may be the ability to create a plasma, perhaps even to withdraw a plasma from the human body with the right kind of heat, laser heat. So all these things I need to really study and go more deeply into before I say pat answers. Billy, how about you?
Well, let's include IR pulses, light pulses. Even your TV utilizes remote control. Remote control pulses just from the IR can isolate and excite these nanoparticles that we've been talking about. In doing so, it wakes them up. And in doing so, they also wink back to your TV, to your Wi-Fi, to your anything that's IR.
Right. They're interactive.
Yes. And Solaris, that Billy's right. This is the new element that we can add to something that we used to talk about back in the 90s, is the fact that we have ingested these conductive metals, microprocessors, sensors, and these little biological hybrids that can be remotely accessed. This is putting the idea of mind control on a whole new level.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Plus the electromagnetic field, and if you're a spiritual being and you expand your aura and your electromagnetic field, then of course I would suspect that would be more easy to target as well, because it's energy any way you look at it.
Well, I'm not sure about that, because I'm not sure about that. I know that consciousness has a tremendous force, and I have actually heard from two people that consciousness is a very protective agent, and that it's possible that with the more conscious people, I don't know about being astrally available out of your body and that sort of thing. I would think that would be very vulnerable. But consciousness within the body, in a strong, you could call it a spiritual way, I think would be, those people might not be as easily accessed, would be my guess. And that is what I've heard. But I don't know quite what I'll do with that in the next book.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, I have a different scenario with that, but that's good. There was something else I was going to ask you. You guys mentioned briefly in the beginning the 7 agendas, military in nature. Did we cover those at all?
No, I can do that very quickly. I always keep my list handy, because a lot of people know that weather is one of the agendas, and then they know that other people know that mind control must be one of the agendas. But there are others. So let me run through those quickly. Weather environmental modification is the first operation, and we can see that all the time. You see it now with the strange snowballs in Lake Michigan, etc. Weather modification has to do with the present definition of asymmetric warfare. The warfare now being pursued, besides special forces, SWAT teams sort of thing, is political and economic warfare. And you can imagine that being able to modify the weather could be very useful for political blackmail. Could definitely get nations to do what you want, or else. One that I think of right away is when we when I say we, I assume it was the U.S. redirected the rain that was intended for Iran and sent it down to England to flood the streets, leaving Iran in a 2-year drought. So then there's also the economic warfare, which would be some people making a lot of money off of weather warfare, through insider trading and weather derivatives and assurance companies and that sort of thing, just being an insider compared to those on the outside. So then the second operation is electromagnetic operations, whereby, as you can see, they're still experimenting, drawing charged particles from the upper atmosphere into our lower atmosphere, spreading barium and aluminum and other heavy metals, particulates to increase the conductivity of the lower atmosphere for 24/7 use. From all the way from, whatever they choose to do. The third would be military operations. Right. And that would be refueling low orbiting platforms and space operations, like what we're talking about here, the space-based scalar space fence, which is replacing the old ground-based missile defense system. Military operations would be drones, the control of drones, being able to have the air electrified enough, like a battery, that we could send a drone at any point in time and make it do what we wish, and as many drones as we want, that sort of thing. So then the fourth would be biological chemical operations, and the biotechnical delivery of biowarfare components, all on a nano scale. And this would be all the way from, as I've said, the cross-domain bacteria to Ebola. If you wanted to deliver Ebola, you would simply need the frequency and the pulse. And then to control human behavior, not through mind control, but through the control of the endocrine system, for example, or the control of the potassium or whatever we need. In this way, I think they're very interested in doing this. And one of the things right away I think of is, imagine that they could rearrange the chemical composition of, say it was potassium or anything, and then hit us with a pulse that would make everyone very tired or everyone very angry. And I really thought of this when the thing happened in Ferguson, when suddenly the crowd was infuriated, and it seemed to spark overnight. That was like a couple months ago. So I often wonder about that, about the frequency and the pulse, because once you have an ionized atmosphere and it would be maybe a different composition over different areas for the sake of the experiment of the day. And then populations could be controlled in that way. Then the fifth one is planetary geophysical operations. That would be Earth changes in the troposphere and magnetosphere. And it could even be what I think some people call terraforming, though I don't think of it as an alien thing. I think of it as changing the composition or the shape of various places. And right away, I think of New Orleans after Katrina, when I think it was 30-some thousand people were moved out, never to see their home again, most of them, and their properties bought up for a song. And then the restructuring of that international port. And then I thought it was very interesting that the next big one in the United States was Sandy, because then they were able to do the same thing there at the ports of New York and New Jersey, move people out and restructure that international port. So that idea of, Earth changes on a natural scale, and then Earth changes through fracking, hydraulic fracking, tomography. They're zapping, various places on the Earth with tomographic microwaves, and there are earthquakes that follow, and sinkholes collapse, salt domes collapse. It seems to me that they're interested in that in certain areas of the country. Okay, then the sixth is intelligence and surveillance, which Billy has addressed for the sake of C4, what the military calls C4, command, control, communications, and computers. That would include virtual warfare, having Jesus and Mary in the sky over a Catholic country, Allah over a Muslim country, alien ships flying in to attack us. That virtual is the holography capability is extraordinary. Yep. And then that would also include the mind control, the intelligence surveillance, in which you would then have the brain frequencies, you would have the emotion frequencies, and you could manipulate large populations or individual. It really wouldn't matter if you had the right technology nearby. Then the seventh operation is most interesting to me because it won't be far out to you, but it would be to some people. The detection of exotic propulsion systems, or the obscuring of exotic propulsion systems. And when I say exotic propulsion systems, I am assuming, which I do believe, and I believe I can substantiate it, it'll be in the next book, that we have had electromagnetic disks since the Operation Paperclip, when we brought all the Nazi engineers in. And we have our own. And then there are the possibility of other parallel dimensions and various crafts that are not particularly physical, but perhaps made of plasma in coming into this this dimension. So that seventh is it's very fascinating to me, and I'm going to have to proceed carefully because, as my publisher said, once you mention UFOs, you're dead.
Oh boy. Well, it does correlate. It all ties in on a very complex level. But you're looking at a holographic. If you want to go the angle of a holographic universe and the holographic mind, then you can see how accessible this technology is to interact as part man, part machine. It's just very compatible on that level, if you ask me. So that's what I'm thinking. Also, is that these guys are really knowing. They're almost mastering this whole thing. They're quite expanded insofar as being able to pull this off, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, they've always been about 50 years ahead. I plan to do a bit of history in the book of going back to I talked about Tesla in this book, but I want to talk about I think his name is E.T. Whittaker.
Welcome back, everybody, to Ravenstar's Witching Hour. I'm your host, Solaris Blue Ribbon, and I'm here with my very special guest, Elana Freeland and Billy Hayes. And I know, Elana, you guys might want to. Do you want to add on an extra hour, or where you at?
Well, we could. Billy, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I don't have to do much.
I know you were kind of wanting to do 1 hour, but I'm really happy to have you for 2. So just give me a shout and let me know.
Well, what if I went for we just go for a while longer, and then you have call-ins? Do you have questions?
If we do, we can take calls if you prefer, and we also, I'm sure, we'll have some chat questions as I spit it out. But yeah, certainly we can do that.
But right now, I'd like to finish my thought that I had before the break, if I could.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I don't know how much your listeners know about the history of science in the U.S., but there are two giants who were buried by the scientific community. The one you already know, Nikola Tesla, and his research was stolen. It's even posited that he was killed by the FBI. The other is John Worrell Keely. And John Worrell Keely lived in Philadelphia in the late 19th century. And Keely was able to build amazing precisioned metal machines, many, many of them, and then take I can't remember if it was a quarter cup or a half cup of water, put it in the machine, and then the machine could create electricity for his entire apartment building for months. Just months. But the kicker was this: the machine only obeyed him. If anyone else tried to do that, it would never work. And so this idea that a machine is compatible to certain individuals is a really fascinating idea for the future. Of course, it irritated J.P. Morgan to no end, because he, of course, had in mind that he would steal that technology, as he stole so many things from so many people. But the machine would none of the machines would obey anyone else. Okay, with that in mind, at the turn of the 19th to the 20th century, the word ether was struck from all scientific documents. Einstein was still using the term ether to describe this great force in the universe that Tesla also discovered. And he had a name for it. It was something like tele-something force, teledynamic force. But it's very interesting that the word was purposely struck. And the story is this, that two scientists, Heaviside and Gibbs, had done an experiment and disproven the existence of ether. Well, that story is not true. And it was simply a ruse. And I'm not quite sure why they struck that term, other than perhaps it, as with many things in the United States, it went underground and went black, as we say now, so that only the hand-chosen scientists would have access to the concept and the term for the concept. So that said, I would like to, in the next book, go into some detail about Tom Bearden's ideas of scalar energy. And Billy, you may have something to say about Tom Bearden. And then I'd like to look at Keeley. I'd like to look at the term ether. I'd like to look at the how if there were an electromagnetic disk, how it might work, what gravity really is, because E.T. Whittaker had a very different concept of gravity than the one that we have all accepted. I mean, I've been in a state of doubt for years now that I've discovered almost everything I learned in college was not true.
Right.
So I have been on a huge quest with masses of files that I am staring at here in order to understand what is true. So that's my, that'll be the historical section, which is, I'm a historian, so that's very exciting. But to set some things straight so that when we look at this technology, we're not just sort of out in like guessing at what the agendas coming up are. Mm-hmm. Right. That's what I want. I want to take back what was stolen from our heritage and put it down on paper and use it to look at the space fence. Billy, say something about Tom Bearden.
Well, Tom Bearden has more or less led all the theories of what's been going on for the last 20 years. He has put out everything about HAARP, for sure, about the terminologies, the theories, the principles of how things react with HAARP and radio frequencies. And he's been right on, true factual. I mean, everything he has said has been true. And it's just astounding that there are attempts to quiet him, just as they a lot of references to Bernard Eastland have been hushed or gone black, as you say.
Yeah. That's pretty. Go ahead. No, I was going to say that's really interesting, and I'm not surprised at all that people are trying to shut everybody up when it comes down to exposing this type of thing. Now, it is a weaponization of technology in general, whether it's used for good or evil. That's quite obvious, and I think we can all come to the conclusion that there's been a lot of control manipulation going on across the board here on this world. And coming from my experience, and I'm sure yours with the mind control, Billy, and of course, and yours as well, Elana, that there's definitely something afoot that's not necessarily in the highest good for our evolution. Now, would you agree on that, or what is your perception?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, in fact, definitely. Yeah. Oh, definitely. But what I mean is it's been in the wrong hands for at least 100 years, to my knowledge, kind of a little bit over. I mean, since the word ether was taken out, the word ether is extremely important. It's the closest we have today to that term would be what's called dark matter.
Right. Well, then there's the esoteric level. I mean, because and if you're into the occult like I am in mysticism and you understand ethers, etheric energies, etheric body, and that's all pertaining to consciousness and, of course, part of the four-body system, which is the energy body. So it all correlates, if you ask me. And, of course, there's a thin line between mysticism and spirituality and, of course, science in general.
Well, I actually have thought that the reason that the word ether was struck may have been because it was related to the spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be where perhaps they were embarrassed by the word, but they did, as you know, I mean, maybe you don't know, they did not replace it with another word. They just struck the whole concept of a universal force that the ancient Vedas and many old documents talk about. But at the same time, the Smithsonian and the National Geographic Society, both of which are loaded with Freemasons, I might add, they struck a tremendous amount of archaeological evidence of ancient civilizations being here, etc. So there seemed to be a concerted effort around the turn of the 19th to the 20th century in controlling knowledge. And as you know, knowledge is power, scientia est potentia. So it makes sense to me that it would have been done, but it was so blatant, and yet they didn't have nearly the media coverage that we have now. That was probably done by a little committee, and probably hardly anyone even knew that it had happened.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And I have a bunch of questions here in the chat. So whenever y'all want to answer those, just let me know. I've posted them here. So
we
if you want me
can
to
do
read
that.
it. Okay.
Sure.
There's a question from Jerry B here. It's any thoughts on the nano oil in the Falkland Islands?
Billy?
Well, the Russians have been really chasing after everything in Antarctica and the Falkland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really. When I think of I'm not up on that. It's nano oil. I would like more detail on that. That's very
I
interesting.
think they call it the black oil, but I'm not real sure on that either.
It's a heavier oil. It's so heavy that they have to, when they utilize it, they have to mix a thinner oil with it, or a tar or crude with it. It's almost too potent to refine, so they have to break it down.
Does it occur only in certain areas of the world, Billy?
Yes, only to the south of the equator and in the Antarctic.
So I wonder if that had something to do with why England brought on that whole Falkland War.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's about as much as I know about it.
Very good. Well, thank you on that one. And here's another one from Olive. It says, ask the guest if it is radio transmission they're controlling the brain. And that's a little choppy the way he's typed it in, but that's the way it reads. So are radio transmissions controlling the brain? I guess that's what he's asking.
Most definitely. But the biggest thing that we have to have a dilemma with is the action of subliminal messaging by the media, especially the news media. They are so far up on the hill of the principles of MK Ultra that when they do a newscast, they suggest their means and their thought to you, and subliminally define something guilty before you can make a decision on it. They decide for you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
For instance, this terrorism thing that's going on right now, this is all suggested. If the media wasn't there, we wouldn't know about it. In fact, we wouldn't have an opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
The media is the controlling factor, and we have to put this into the electronic factor too, because the emphasis that they put on it, you can see in a subliminal suggestion of the screen blinks, it shutters, they change scenes in a certain way where it would be a quickened change of a scene, or there'll be a fluttering going into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
It activates your brain to make a suggestive manner.
Right.
Exactly. So the pulses are there. I'll give you a good example. You remember the Teletubbies?
Oh, yeah.
The background on the Teletubbies would cause many children to have seizures.
That's right.
And this is that pulsing. This pulsing that goes on is a very controlling thing. It can be a visual. It can be a radio frequency, or a pulse of radio frequencies. What people don't realize is when a radio frequency goes out, it hits everything on this earth. Exactly. It isn't just the antenna going into that radio. It penetrates everything on this earth. If it's a pulse, then it creates a energy that pulsates into other things such as crystals, metals, and anything that's resonant. And that creates a electrical discharge.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
We feel that. Our bodies feel that.
Right, we're conductors.
So, Billy, what is it being? You're staring at a television. You're looking at not the Teletubbies, but maybe a news show. What is it about the digital? When we went from analog to digital, what did that do to this process?
It made it sharper, more impending, more contrastic. It delivers more messaging in a period of time, multiple messagings. Mm-hmm. Whereby in the old analog, it would only happen in certain sequences. Now they can run this all through a program, and you don't really notice it, but it's there. And your mind is thinking all the time. When you get on a cell phone and you're playing games, you're feeling these pulses. There is an excitement that comes back when you're playing with a cell phone. That you can see the difference in people's attitudes and change in their personalities, watching people go from 1G to 2G to 3G.
Mm-hmm. It must be why they're so addicted.
Exactly. I mean, people who are getting 3G and 4G for the first time, you can see them change. Their whole personality change in less than a day.
Mm-hmm. That's very disturbing.
Yeah, I don't even own a cell phone because I always tell people I'm not important enough to know where I am 24/7. I just use this terrible cordless phone, which I really should not even be using that. And I think that does answer the question. Like, is it radio frequency? Well, yes, but it's not the one that people think of. I think there's a tendency to leap to the most exotic or the most far out idea of mind control, when really it's been in front of us ever since television was given to us in the 50s. I had the good fortune of not being raised with a television, so my imagination is still somewhat alive. And I find that I taught for years in Waldorf schools and then in high schools, and I find that students' imaginations are just running downhill now. It's as though and they can't put that cell phone away. They just can't. It's so enticing. It's sort of like Odysseus when he was coming back from Troy to Greece, and he stopped and saw Circe and all these goddess figures, and he would just become hypnotized by it. And that's exactly what this technology is doing. It's hypnotizing people, and they're taking selfie after selfie after selfie of themselves. It's really frightening. It's absolutely frightening.
I agree. I think it's also really dumbed them down to a point where they're not even thinking. They're not rational.
No, but the dumbing down began a long time ago. I caught the last good education in New York City, in public ed and in private ed. And I remember sitting down, I can't remember what year, but Global 2000 is quite a document. It's very thick. It's like 700 pages or some ridiculous amount of committee work. Oh, it's so boring. But in it, you begin to see how the dumbing down is going to be done. And boy, it has worked. Big time.
Absolutely. Well, it's quite concerning, without a doubt. I mean, it's almost to a point where I feel like we can't turn back, and we're so calibrated for the technology as a society and race that we're just going full speed ahead into this transhumanism. And of course, I think that's losing a lot of our free will.
Well, and that's why I concentrate on saying to people, clean your house, look at your lifestyle. You've got to begin at home, or it will always sound false. All your activism, your public displays of knowledge, etc. We have to begin with ourselves. So I have no television. I've never even owned a television. I have no cell phone, and I'm but I'm totally addicted to this computer, right? I mean, I am at this computer
Right.
so much as
window to the world.
writer. As a writer, at least, Billy, I have an excuse for being at my computer.
Oh, Lord.
Billy
Here
has 5 computers there, don't you? 5.
Yeah.
Surveillance, Billy, or what?
Pardon?
What are you doing with those? Surveillance?
I just maintain, just
Okay.
maintain.
Well, he's a genius. He's a genius at computers and,
Nice.
At hopping around the world, and nobody knows where he is. Oh, yeah. If I could do that, I might do that. I have 5 computers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that answers that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's see here. We have, this is from Jer Bear. Does the guest know anything related with Tesla and Black Satellite?
Oh,
I don't know if he's talking about the Black Knight or not. I'm not sure about that.
I think that's what Jared's.
Okay.
We've talked. He and I have talked about this before.
Okay.
Who has, Billy?
Jer Bear.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, do you want to say something about it? I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not sure which one he's talking about. Is he talking about the Black
Bear? Which one is it? Let's see if he texts us in chat. But I suspect it might be the Black Satellite when he's talking about Tesla. That's, I don't know where he is. He's in
there were no satellites when Tesla was around, were there, Billy?
No, but this is I think he's talking about this obstacle that's coming in that they've latched onto, and it looks like a large craft or something coming in. They're trying to identify it by frequency, and things just ain't going right with it.
Who's they? You mean NASA or somebody?
Oh yeah, NASA's locked onto it. They even had pictures of it.
Oh, well, you can send me something of it. Do you have something that you've come across on the net? I'd like to see that.
I think it's the Black Knight he's talking about.
The Black Knight. Knight?
Yes. Right, Jer Bear? Please text me in chat again.
He says yes.
Is there another question while he's...
No, he said yes. It's the Black Knight satellite. And actually, there's a question from Andy here, which is how much scalar technology is being used on populations, and can cell towers be used as weapons? I think we know the answer to that one.
Oh, yes. Cell towers can be used as weapons.
Yeah, we answered that 4 times already tonight.
Right. And as far as the scalar, that is really what the HARP tech is. When you're saying scalar, you're talking about ground waves. And these are very, very long ELFs. And they go, as Billy said, they go through everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are in scalar. There are times when people will poo-poo the word scalar. I have no idea why. I don't know if they're disinformation people or just misinformed. But scalar is the name of the game now. And I had a funny thing happen, as long as I'm getting casual here. When I was sitting at Cowgirl's Bar having a beer with a friend in Santa Fe, the guy next to me was talking. He was an older man. He was talking to a young man, and the young man mentioned that he worked at Los Alamos National Labs. And I saw my opportunity. So I said, well, that's great. I said, excuse me, but, I read this term. I just don't know quite what it is. I heard that you're doing quite a bit up there with interferometry. And his face literally blanched. And he turned his back on us immediately and left. So I assume that that scalar interferometry, and interferometry is it sounds like a daunting word, but all it means is that there's an interference, right, Billy? There's just an interference. It's crossing over.
Well, it's that plus the identification of certain waves.
Interesting. I have a question for you for myself here. So the scalar waves, say they're deploying a scalar wave and they're heading towards a target. They want to ping a target, whether it's a person or an object. If the person is able to interact with that wave, can they actually send a ping back to the source?
Well, people have to understand, scalar is the adaptation of phasing waves together in a manner that it gives a reflection back.
Okay.
By timing and phasing, you can do distance, location of specific items or specific size or specific rhythms.
Okay.
Or say, Billy, just say you do something to a weather system across the world.
Well, that's exactly what they've been doing, is utilizing this phasing. Before they were doing it with high power, and that's gone. Now they are able to adapt the HARP technology to low power by utilizing the essentials of a vacuum tube. All the components of a vacuum tube are now in play within our atmosphere and our Earth. There's a ground plate. There's a heater. There's grids. There's everything that takes to make a vacuum tube, amplifier, are now in our air, in our atmosphere, including utilizing the vacuum of higher altitudes. The higher you go, the more vacuum you have. So right there's the vacuum of a vacuum tube. Yeah, and that's just what they're utilizing. Now they can maintain ionization and charging of the air and use heaters, electronic heaters, to heat up portions of the atmosphere to ionize it, not to actually heat the air, but to ionize the air, make it more transferable of ionization.
Right.
And by maintaining a high voltage power supply, which is supplied by hurricanes, typhoons, storms, lightning, wind farms. Wind farms generate a massive amount of static electricity that is discharged into the air.
I think we just have a caller here, and I don't know. Oh, wait a second here. I don't know if I can accept the call. Darn it. Hang on, you guys.
You'll knock yourself out.
I will. Are you guys still there?
Oh, is it a collective?
I don't know. Are you there, caller 541?
I am.
Oh, my goodness. That's a shock because I wasn't sure. I was going to put the studio on hold. Okay. Do you have a question?
Well, this is fantastic. I would please give me her name. His name is Billy.
Billy Hayes and Elana Freeland. And who are you?
My name is Ray.
Hi, Ray.
I'm from Oregon. Elana.
Yeah.
Freeland.
Freeland, the way America should be.
And your books. Where can we get them from? Amazon or?
Yes, Amazon. It's Chemtrails, HARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. You can also get it from your local bookstore, or they can just get it from their distributor. It's put out by Farrell House.
Is that Joseph Farrell?
No, not the Ferrell, although Joseph Farrell used to publish his books through Farrell House. It's actually the Wolf Farrell, Feral House.
Okay. Now, you have said several things that have been absolutely fascinating. You really have got this pinned down on so many levels. You have a new book coming out then?
Yes. But it's being written right now, so I can't.
Oh, okay.
It'll be done within the year. I would say it'll take me about 10 months.
Okay, and also you are a teacher at a Steiner school.
I was, yes, for years. I started 4 Waldorf schools in Washington State.
How about over in Sandpoint there?
No, not Sandpoint.
No. Yeah, there's a Waldorf school in Sandpoint.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Sandpoint, Idaho. I was supposed to come there and give a chemtrails talk, but that fell through.
Well, now, so you mentioned, I would love to hear what I have read. As you know, I don't know if he is the most prolific man. If you count his speeches, if he's the most prolific man that ever lived, but I would love to hear what you have read and what your take on what Steiner predicted as far as this goes, and what he said, and your thoughts on that, if you might.
Oh, well, that's great. I did say one thing. I don't know if you heard me, but one of the things Steiner said was that it was our destiny is inevitable to merge with machines, but before that should happen, we should develop a morality to the degree that we can then develop in a relationship with the machine, that it becomes a moral technology that serves the future of humanity. And the way I see it now is the technology that is taking control now, that Billy Hayes and I have been talking about, is, as usual, trying to bring something too early when we are not developed enough to moralize the machines, in which case it may look more like that film, the third of the trilogy, The Matrix, when the War of the Machines happens. And Steiner does talk about the possibility of a war of machines.
Huh. Do you remember where that's at?
Yeah, I can direct you easily to the people who are doing that. The anthroposophic Steiner people in Europe are very heavily into this, and they're called Anthro News, ANTH. Actually, they're called. Hang on, just a moment.
And caller, after this one question, I'm going to let you go. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Anthro Tech News is the name of it, and if there were a way, Raven, I wouldn't mind Solaris if he had my contact details. This person.
Okay, perfect. Do you want that?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. I'll send them over. Yeah, perfect.
Great. Thank you for doing that.
I appreciate you calling in. What's that?
How do I get it?
We can send it on Skype. I'll keep your number and I can just send it over.
I don't have Skype.
Well, I see your number here. Is that your number?
You can just call me. Can you just call me? That would be great.
I'll find a way to get you the information. Let's put it that way.
Sorry,
right?
Solaris.
That's okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Very good. Excellent. And we have another question here. I guess this is another one from Jerry B. Can HARP technology be utilized for anything positive that benefits the Earth?
Billy?
Well, yeah. Its intention in the beginning was for good. It's once the military got a hold of it, it went array. Of course, this is always what happens.
The way.
Once the government and the military get a hold of it, they take it away and they do it for the destiny of making weapons out of it, no matter what. But
I mean, like tornadoes, huh, Billy? They could make tornadoes not be so destructive. They could make hurricanes not be so destructive.
Right. They could make Tesla's dream come true. They could pass power.
Free energy, right?
Through the air.
Yes.
With no problem at all. In fact, that's part of the Aurora project, is supplying a power source that is beyond our Earth to a craft that is in flight.
Exactly. Well, what is your impression of CERN?
I'm scared of it.
Yeah, me too. I'm scared of it.
They're supposed to fire it back up, I think, in March.
Yeah, exactly. Only God knows.
Well, the reason I ask is because when they power that thing up, of course it's going to create anomalies, or it certainly can, across the board here. Now, you're talking about pulses and all this other technology that they're deploying right now, that I'm wondering if the CERN is going to amplify that or create even more of an anomaly across the board here on the planet.
Well, it interferes with the magnetosphere.
Right.
And we only can guess what it's doing beyond our Earth.
Exactly.
We have no idea of what attraction or repulsion we're creating in outer space.
Good point.
And what the repercussions will be. That's
another scenario altogether.
Yeah, and Billy, mention what they've done to the ionosphere.
Oh, yeah. HARP was such a heavy hitter that it pushed the ionosphere and bulged it. It thinned it so thin that there are holes punched all through the ionosphere from the old HARP. This is one of the reasons that Easton was wanting to go to something else. He was trying to put a hold on everything because he was in fear that we were destroying our ionosphere.
And Easton was terribly used.
I mean, this is what happens. The atomic bomb, Tesla's theories, everything that ever comes out becomes a disaster created by the government and the military.
Right, it's negligence. They push the envelope without any control. Now, can that be repaired, the ionosphere with the holes?
No.
Not at all. Not through any type of transmission?
Not in our time.
But I mean, even now they're talking about getting rid of the Van Allen belts. I mean,
boy.
it's endless, these guys.
Well,
and yet I want to say, just so people know, I am not one of those naysayers about humanity. I believe humanity is like a child. We're in the 21st century. We're like a 21-year-old. We don't know quite how to control our leaders, take responsibility for our own actions and our lack of actions. And we have allowed some psychopaths and sociopaths, we have given them carte blanche. And when I wrote the Sub Rosa America fictional history books about America since Kennedy, I actually had tea with Kennedy in the Rose Garden when I was 15 years old. It was a huge experience for me. And 4 months later, he was dead. And I had to go and give talks to civic groups that had paid for my trip to Washington, and rooms full of sobbing people. And it's only since all these years, 50 years have gone by since then, that I have realized that that was a seminal moment for America. And so I wrote these books. It took 20 years to finish all 5 because I had to do a heck of a lot of research to figure out how the sociopaths and psychopaths had gotten control, how they had been in every single, the same people that were involved in the assassination were involved in many other things, like the Iran-Contra affair. There was George H.W. Bush. He had been the SAC, the special agent in charge for the CIA, on the radio in Dallas on that day. He was the man who was directing the shooter teams. So, I mean, it just was endless. And I remember sitting just, I love that British phrase, gobsmacked. I was amazed that these people were rewarded over and over and over again. And then there was Operation Paperclip and Alan Dulles and yada, 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 so much. And this is a piece of that, the same mentality. And you know, everybody had hopes for Obama. Everybody had hopes for this, that. No, there has been no leadership in that sense of this country since John Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And so now the only thing I can imagine, which would be a 100th monkey sort of thing, is if we all really took responsibility for our own lives, cleaned them up, got our health. Goodbye, doctor. I haven't been to a doctor since I was 13 myself, and I'm 67.
Bravo.
Well, I've followed a macrobiotic diet all these years. So, take responsibility so that we can really take hold of the consciousness we need to meet these psychopaths. That is my hope that drives me to write these books and spend all this time.
And I certainly appreciate everything you've been doing to awaken everybody here on this planet, because it's certainly well needed, without a doubt. You know, it's just discipline. Bottom line is just discipline, breaking away from the what I call maybe just too much exposure to technology. At some point in the continuum, people have to take a step out of it, take a step back, and have some balance.
Yes, discipline and a larger picture of one's life. Mm-hmm. One is not one's personality. One is a focal point for nation, culture, race, gender. I mean, there's so many things that we are. And to, yes, take responsibility, discipline oneself, but keep the picture big. That's what that's what I'm good at. That's what drives me.
Well, it certainly can tell. Well, the problem here is that with this technology and the abuse of it, seems like they're trying to create a very narrow scene of what they want society to become, and a very corralled and controlled environment through the technological interface, which I suspect will be through brain and machine at some point in the continuum. Now, my question to you guys is also exotic particle beam weapons. Do you have any ideas if they're even connected to having these weapons on the moon?
Billy?
Absolutely. We've been shooting at the moon for decades. I mean, we're in our 5th decade of shooting at the moon with particle weapons.
From the ground, from here.
From the ground. We've been bouncing lasers off the moon for going on our 5th decade.
What about on the moon itself? Like having the technology on the moon.
Well, the part of the communications that we've had before, when we've landed there, was always setting up a communication link back to the Earth, which included laser and masers.
That's the eye in the sky, Billy.
It's part of it. It's part of it. You have to remember, all these things have been readaptive.
Mm-hmm.
They started out with one questionable solution, and they wind up with 20. This is the same thing with HARP. They started out chasing after tomography, and from that, it developed into umpteen thousand different solutions.
Exactly. And now they talk about is it Skynet? Does that have a correlation to what you're talking about with the space fence?
Absolutely. It's all going to all be part of the space fence.
Mm-hmm. When do you think this space fence will be built officially?
Oh, it's already started. It's already started. It's a matter of service packets being added on. Each phase is a step forward in the ambition of Lockheed and Raytheon in their development of bridging all communications and all solutions into one massive, big electronic machine.
Mm-hmm. That's really disturbing on so many different levels. When you think about freedom and free will and privatizing even a space program, it's almost like you have to go through them to get any access off-world. And my take is, looking down the road, if somebody were to want to space travel in the illusion of, they would have to literally go through these hoops to try to even break orbit with this planet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. It's for the rich only, rich and the entitled. And I think that film that recently played, I can't remember the name, Elysium.
Right.
Elysium. Mm-hmm. I think that was I think that we are programmed for the future through our films now, because Hollywood is completely controlled by the CIA. It has diversified so far into the culture. It has assaulted the culture with its ideology. And that movie, Elysium, I was very intrigued by it. And I saw that the Earth had been trashed. And then there was this lovely little satellite sort of elite planet. And I thought that, that looks like the future, all right.
Mm-hmm. It's very disturbing. Well, do you see this being able to be turned around at all?
In this life?
Yeah.
No.
I don't either. And I hate to say that. And I'm wondering about this array system, and I'm wondering about these grids. Is there a way to dismantle them? Is there a way that we can actually try to take them all down?
Well, I know people. I know eco-warriors. I have a good friend here in town who did it for years. He would make Wilhelm Reich, what he called holy hand grenades, and little cloud busters. And he would go, and he and a team of people, and they're still doing it, not my friend, but other people. And they would go to the cell towers, and they would plant these at the, sometimes just one. All sorts of power grid would go down. And soon a white van would pull up, and they had some device by which they could tell exactly where it was buried, and they would dig it up and toss it in the van and drive on. So I know they work, and I am going to deal with Reich in the book because, again, this is ether technology. This is what Rudolf Steiner talked about, ether technology. Reich called it orgone. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's the same thing. And it is a life force. It is the life force that can combat, neutralize this electromagnetic force that's being used against us. And so I have a cloudbuster in my backyard loaned to me by this very same friend. And I don't know that it has protected me, though I feel very safe for many reasons. But I did notice that this summer, when the trees, and they're mostly pines, grew out around this cloudbuster, they were incredibly green.
Nice.
And I loved it. It just made me feel good. So I think that people who poo-poo this low-tech technology of Reich's are really foolish. They really need to try it before they poo-poo it, because Wilhelm Reich was killed in a federal penitentiary by our own government forces, who stole all his research and then used it for their cloud seeding because Reich was into all of that. Anything atmospheric he was into. So, we need to take another look at these low-tech things and not feel so powerless. There are things we have not yet discovered that we can do. I know that.
I very much agree with you. And even the homeopathic route, I mean, holistic medicine in general is remarkable on so many different levels through consciousness. Once again, you're dealing with consciousness and the power of the mind and the ability to heal. And a lot of that gets polluted with this dirty electricity and all this misuse of technology. Now, do you, Billy, use anything to block any type of interference?
No, I'm in a whole different world because mine are. I have scars that are rhythmically tuned to the instruments that I work with. The burns that I received have scarred, so it's a whole different world for me. I am you might say I was a guinea pig in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For the technology. Definitely. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, as I worked on these systems, while they were live, I would receive RF burns. Mm-hmm. And RF burns are burnt to a specific length of the frequencies that you're dealing with. And some of these are developed into cysts and tumors in my brain. At first, they called them acronoid cysts. Mm-hmm. But as the technology developed, it became known that these were resonant tumors that were tuned to the frequencies I had dealt with previously in my lifetime.
Were you able to remove any of those through frequency or no?
Some of them were removed, but the danger of brain tumors is they can't get to them without me losing me.
Right, and of course there's talk of the cell phones completely trashing the brain. Now, obviously this technology, a lot of what we've been talking about tonight can be used as a remote assassin weapon. From dropping vitals, from whatever distribution they're using. I mean, it's obvious to me that they can take down somebody remotely if they really wanted to. And of course, this technology just seems like it wreaks havoc on the four-body system. Now, go ahead.
I just lost my wife here about 18 months ago due to that same exact thing. She was out assisting with cleanup after the Moore tornado went through. Mm-hmm. It also developed tornadoes here in Kansas, and she was out assisting the public in helping clean up the mess. And she went down with burns across her chest and across her back. And there was no account for it. The doctor who took care of her, who signed, just happened to be the same doctor that was taking care of Tim McVeigh's family. He was also the doctor that signed off on death certificates during the trial at Denver, where our motel burnt down. I was one of the witnesses for there, as was Paula. Wow. But the same doctor signed off on those that signed her death certificate.
Oh, jeez.
Within 3 hours after her death, she was cremated. Mm-hmm. I requested an autopsy. And the doctors had talked to Paul's mother, and sister and brother, and it became a family situation where they were pointing their finger at me, saying I was a troublemaker.
Oh, jeez.
So her body was disposed of within 3 hours of her death.
But I mean, this is what three-letter agencies do to the people that they make serve them through MK Ultra throughout their lives. This is exactly why Allen Dulles, at the very beginning of the CIA, Eisenhower once said after he was out of office that it was a huge mistake and to allow that. And it was really under Harry Truman that he signed off on the National Security Act that created the CIA. And Harry Truman also said he made a vast mistake by signing that document. It is that these agencies are out of control, and it infuriates me how they treat those whose lives they've stolen.
I so agree with you. I think that if we didn't have those alphabet agencies, we would have had such a wonderful country, if you ask me.
Yeah. And no National Security Act of 1947. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's really a shame. My goodness. And we are getting ready to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. So I really do want to thank you both for staying the full 2 hours just about. I really appreciate it. And I would like everybody to know how to get in touch with both of you if they want to contact you, and also how to get your books, Elana.
Well, Billy has a Facebook site for Billy Hayes.
Right.
He puts up lots of really good stuff on there.
I posted that in chat, by the way, both of your Facebook.
Yeah, good. And I have a Facebook page for my book. It's called Elana Freeland, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum. That's the name of the Facebook site. It starts out with Elana Freeland. And then there's, of course, my own Facebook page. The book, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth, is available through Amazon and at your local bookstore. And it may be that the publisher has a few signed copies left. I don't know. And that's the best way to get hold of me. The way I'd like to be gotten hold of is either through my Facebook page or through calling Feral House and telling them and giving them your information, and then I can contact you.
Awesome. That's wonderful. And once again, I really do want to thank you for everything you're doing, and you as well, Billy. You're phenomenal, both of you, wonderful beings, and I appreciate everything you're doing on this timeline to try to help awaken everybody to what's happening here with all this technology and the muck that's going. I guess it's going in a really strange direction here. Now, with your sequel book, which I'm really anxious to read once you get that finished, it does sound like the end game is transhumanism. Is that pretty much what you're looking at?
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, when I think of all I already know, I'm thinking of a large slave class whose nervous systems are and endocrine systems are being hacked into. Mm-hmm. But I am certain that it will not work. But I'm going to have to describe, to me, the book is primarily to describe the system and how it's set up. And that's where Billy's so invaluable to me. And I have a couple of other people, Harold Save being one, who have agreed to be advisors, Jim Lee. So I'm so grateful for people who are supporting me in my research and writing. I have a biology background, but I do not have a background in electromagnetics. And it's so fascinating how I'll crawl into bed at night and pick up the latest. I'm reading books on plasma physics and all sorts of things. And it's so exciting to learn these new things. And for some reason, my mind is just opening up to this. If you'd said 10 years ago that I would be doing this now, I would not have believed you. Mm-hmm. So whatever's going on, I'm in service to the planet, to the people, to the generations of children, grandchildren who expect to have a good life here, and I will continue.
Exactly. And at least you can say you put your best foot forward and tried. Like us all. We're at least trying to get some information out accordingly, and hopefully people will, listen and pay attention, and things will change. I do concern myself with the children in the future, how they're going to function. Are they going to grow up in the womb as hybrids? It's just very strange. And I'm also very interested insofar as you think it might not work. And I'm really, that makes me kind of happy to think that, because I can tell you, as somebody who's been interfaced with artificial intelligence, which is a long story, it is the most, it pulls the spirit away from higher consciousness. And it is a real nasty thing. And this is one of the reasons I address this topic in general. Any type of misuse of technology for control and manipulation. I wish we could turn it all around. I really do. And I hope we do. So. Yes.
I think because the system is so complex that it will have its own Achilles heel, definitely.
I agree. Yep. Well, I hopefully we'll be around to see it all come to fruition in a positive way, right? And Billy, do you have anything to add tonight? Billy, you there? He's drinking his coffee.
No, I'm here.
I want to thank you again for chiming in, and sometime I'd love to have you both back. And of course, if you want to just do an hour or whatever you feel like guided to do, you're both wonderful people, and it's been a real pleasure and honor to interview both of you tonight. A real treat for everybody in chat and everybody listening.
Well, thank you. Are you letting us go now?
If you want, well, I've got like maybe 3 or 4 minutes. No, why don't you hang out a few more minutes here? Otherwise, it's dead air.
Okay.
But I do want to thank you again before I forget, because we have Dave and Becky coming up next with Shiny Side Out. So please stay tuned for them, of course, following from Down Under. They always have some interesting information as well. Is there anything you want to add as a final word or summary here? Billy, do you have anything you'd like to add for our listeners tonight?
Well, I'm not a political person, and only thing I deal with is what I've seen, touched, heard, and been there with. I don't go there with the thought that there's money in it or anything like that. We are here to give out information that is factual, not a fantasy. These are real things that are happening around us that most people don't see or understand. That includes HAARP, the chemtrails, Morgellons. They're there. Mm-hmm. And people are denying. And people have to come around and have a sense of reality that these things are there. Absolutely. It's undeniable. I mean, honestly, I can't figure out why people can't understand that or comprehend it unless it's just they're kind of mind controlled into just looking away.
Well, it is that cognitive dissonance, and it's kind of like this latest French happening. Now people are distracted by that. The distraction quotient is so high. It's as if we want to be distracted. We want drama. We want even possibly negative drama in order to distract ourselves from what we're going to do in relationship to the knowledge we have. That's the key. That's the key. Don't allow yourself to be distracted, please. I totally agree, and it's all about distraction out here in this weird world. You know, we'll have to touch again, I guess, at some point in the continuum next time I connect with you guys, but you did touch a little bit on the smart grid, and coming from the Colorado area, they tested the smart grid in Boulder. I don't know if you were familiar with that or not. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I suspect that they've actually deployed that in all cities now. Have they or no? Oh, they must. Yeah, it's almost everywhere now. It's not all turned on, but it's all installed. Right. And that's pretty much them having remote access and control over everything in your home. Is that correct? Well, it's a matter of application. Just in the digital age, it's an application. Mm-hmm. Everything operates digitally on an application. Yeah, I just don't like that. I don't like people controlling and manipulating my environment. And that's pretty much what we're dealing with. A virtual scene, a virtual field. I mean, it's not there until they send the application, it's filed, and then it operates from that application, just like on your cell phone. Right. I can't remember the year they started that in Boulder, but I know it was several years back. I remember when they were doing it. Well, Boulder is right there in the belly of the beast, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Colorado's changed quite a bit in frequency. Yeah, Boulder and Superior both. Superior, Colorado? Yep. That's my old stomping ground. That's where I was inducted, actually, in 2004. Well, we'll have to talk about that off air. What do you know about Superior? Raytheon is out there at the airport. Oh, okay. That's all you need to know. Jeez. Yeah. Boy, I've just learned something new every day here. My goodness. So what's down the road for you, Billy? What are you going to be working on the next couple weeks or months? Trying to survive, maintain myself underground as much as possible. Coming up with food that nobody else will eat. Yeah? Are you growing your own food? In a way. In a way. I make dishes out of roadkill and stuff like that. Do you really? Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of people will be doing that. If we lose our power grids, we might go in the opposite direction. A lot of people will have to learn how to fend for themselves. Well, that and I dumpster dive for food and computers and whatever. Do you know how to revamp computers? Yeah, I sure do. I got 16 computers between 3 locations. My goodness. And are you doing any public speaking anywhere, Elana? Possibly one in Canada later in the spring. But otherwise, I'm trying to fend off distraction myself so I can write.
Okay.
Myself, I cannot not go public because I'm a target.
Well, you stay safe, and thank you both very, very much. It's been a pleasure and an honor. And thank you, everybody, for listening, and have a great week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Elana. Thank you, Billy.
Be with you in a moment.
Thank you for listening to Revolution